everyone. In this video, I want to discuss with you classification of contracts. In the previous class, I discussed with you what is contract and what are the essential elements of a valid contract. And here in this video, I want to explain regarding classification of contracts. Before going into the discussion, let us discuss what is the definition of contract first. Contract means it is nothing but it is an agreement to do anything or not to do anything. So, it will become a contract if it is enforceable by law. So, contract means it is an agreement which is enforceable by law. Agreement means there should be an offer as well as acceptance. Then only we call it as agreement. And that agreement, if it is enforceable in the eyes of law, then we can call it as contract. So, here in Indian Contract Act 1872 under section 2H, they have defined a contract as an agreement enforceable by law. Hope this is clear for everyone. Let us go into the discussion of classification of contracts. Contracts are classified into three types on the basis of three types. First one is on the basis of validity, second one on the basis of formation, third one on the basis of performance. So we can also call it as validity, formation and performance. So we can classify the contracts into mainly three types. Let us go and discuss what are those. So here, first one, validity. On the basis of validity, we can classify the contracts again into six types. First one is valid contracts, second one void contracts, third one void agreements, fourth one voidable contracts, fifth one unenforceable contracts, sixth one illegal agreements. Let us discuss what are all those now. First one is valid contracts. Valid, the word itself is saying that that contract is valid. So it is enforceable by law. So valid contract means it is an agreement which is enforceable by law. When can we enforce it by law? Whenever any contracts or any agreement actually satisfies all the essential elements of a valid contract, then only we can call it as valid contract. If any agreement satisfies all the essential elements of a valid contract, then that agreement becomes a valid contract. Okay, hope this is clear. Next one, void contracts. Then what are void contracts? Void contracts, any agreement which is actually legally enforceable by law when actually they entered into that. So at the time of making the agreement, legally that is enforceable by law. But later on, after few days, that agreement became void. Why? Due to some supervening impossibilities. So whenever due to any supervening impossibility, any contract becomes void to perform, then we can call it as void contract. Actually, at the time of making the agreement, it is enforceable by law. But later on, due to some supervening impossibility, that cannot be performed. So we can call it as void contract. What is the example of that? Suppose two parties made a contract and one party, for example, one party is staying in Pakistan, he is citizen of Pakistan, and the other one is a citizen of India. They both entered into contract. So in the beginning stage, during the peace time, this contract is valid. But whenever any war breaks out, then that time this contract becomes void. So there is supervening impossibility of performance of that contract whenever war breaks out. That is why here at the beginning stage, during the peace condition, that contract is valid, but later it became void because war broken out. Okay, so this is known as void contract. Let us discuss next one, that is void agreements. Void agreements means actually this is an agreement which is not enforceable by law by any of the party. So in contract there are two parties. So if any one party is not going to enforce it by law, okay, then we can say that it is a void agreement. Okay, and let us discuss next one, voidable contract. Voidable contract means it is an agreement which is enforceable by law at the option of one party but not at the option of another party. So one party is accepting that, one party actually want to enforce it, and on the option of one party it is enforceable by law, but another party is not accepting that. So at the option of another party, that is not enforceable by law. Then why the contract was made then? So whenever the contract was made, that time any one party did not give their free consent. So in between two parties, one party would have not given his free consent. That is why later on he is saying that I don't want to continue that contract. So it is not enforceable by law at the option of another party. Why? Because there is no free consent. Then it becomes a voidable contract. Voidable contract means at the time of making the contract it is valid, but later on it became void because one party is not going to continue it because there is no free consent in the contract. Then we can say that it is a voidable contract. And next one is unenforceable contract. Unenforceable means we cannot enforce it. Why? Because there may be some technical issue. Actually that is valid, but due to some technical issue we cannot enforce it. Then we can call it as unenforceable contract. That contract is actually valid contract. It is satisfying all the essentials of a valid contract, but some technical issue is there in the contract. That is why it is not enforceable by law. We can call it as an unenforceable contract. What is the example of that? If any promissory note is actually made in between two parties, that promissory note should be properly stamped actually, if you want to enforce it in the eyes of law, but they did not stamp it properly. So here stamp, that stamp is missing there. So we can say that technical problem is there. So contract is not enforceable. It will become an unenforceable contract. And let us go to next one, that is illegal agreement. So illegal agreement means the word itself is saying that it is not legal. It is against the policy of law and it is not legal one. Okay, so this contract is prohibited by law. So law is saying that these agreements should not be made in between parties, but any party is making the agreement, that becomes illegal agreement. Hope this is clear for everyone. Let us go and discuss the other one. Here second one is on the basis of formation. Again under this we can classify the contracts into four types. First one, express contracts. Second one, implied contracts. Third one, quasi contracts. Fourth one, e-com contracts. So let us discuss one by one in detail. First one is express contracts. Express. express. Here what is happening? This contract is expressed. So the terms and conditions of the contract are expressed by both the parties. So we can call it as express contract. Okay, so here if any contract is made in between two parties, either by words, actually they may speak it, otherwise they may write it on any paper. So we can call it as express contract. So if they are speaking and making the contract, okay, it's fine. That is also known as express contract. If they are writing any agreement among themselves in written one, then that is also known as express contract. But here why we are calling it as express contract? Because both the parties are expressing their agreement, terms and conditions, and they are speaking and they are expressing. So we can call it as express contract. What is the example here? A is telling to B that A wants to sell his car for 40,000. So here A is expressing his intention to B that he wants to sell his car for 40,000. So he is expressing. So we can say that it is an express contract. Next one is implied contract. Implied contract means here offer as well as acceptance is made by the parties other than in words. So they are not expressing in words, but other than words they are making their offer and the other party is accepting. Then we can call it as implied contract. Here one party is not expressing his intention, the other party also not accepting in words, but other than words, if they make the contract, then it will become implied contract. So let us go and discuss quasi contract. Quasi contract means it is also one contract, but here in this contract there is no intention from the side of party to make the contract. So actually parties does not want to make any contract, or they don't like to have any contract in between them, but law is imposing a contract. So law is saying that you have to make the contract. So due to some circumstances it happens like that, then it will be treated as quasi contract. Actually parties are not intended to make any offer and to accept it. Parties are actually not interested to make the contract, but what is happening? Law is imposing on them to make the contract. Then we can call it as quasi contract. And let us discuss the other one, that is e-com contract. If any contract is made, or if parties are entering into contract using internet facility, then we can call it as e-com contract. So if parties are using internet facility and entering into contract, then we can call it as e-com contracts. Hope this is clear. So if you like it and if you understand it, mention in the comment box, like this and share this and subscribe the video. And let us go and discuss the next topic, next one. So on the basis of performance, we can again classify, we can subclassify the contract into two types. First one, executed contracts. Second one, executory contract. Let us discuss what is executed contracts. Executed means performed already, completed. Okay, executed means completed, performed. So this contract is what? Both the parties of the contract performed their obligations, they performed their duties. So finished. Then we can call it as executed contract. Contract is completed. Okay, one party whatever it actually has to do, that is finished. The other party also performed his obligation. Then we can say that contract is executed, performed, completed, finished. So that contract is known as executed contract. and this executed contract also is known as completed contract. And what is the example here? A sells a TV set to B for rupees 20,000. So A want to sell TV set to B for 20,000 rupees. And what B is doing? B is paying the price 20,000 to A, and A also is transfer the TV set to B. So contract is finished. Whatever they have to do, finished everything. So we can call that contract as a executed contract. Let us go and discuss what is executory contract. Executory means not completed. So it is actually continuing. Any one party finished their duty and the other party has to perform, or the contract is not completed wholly or not performed wholly or partly, then we can call it as executory contract. So the parties have to perform still, they did not perform yet anything. So that is known as executory contract. Hope this is clear for everyone. If you have any doubts, you can mention in the comment box. If you want me to make any videos on business law topics, you can mention in the comment section. If you understand, say yes or give any comment in the comment section. If you like the class, like it, share it and subscribe it. Thank you.